Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the August T. Minor administrative offices in each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminetti? Here. Mr. Donlin?
Here.
Mrs. Farley? Here. Mr. Heffernan? Mr. Little? Mrs. Vinuese?
Here.
Mrs. Wright? Here. Mrs. Tobacco? Here. Mr. Capone?
Here. And now we need a motion to go into exec session for matters of HIB, litigation update, settlement agreements, personnel matters, and negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? See you in a little while. Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the August team item administrative offices in each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminetti? Here. Mr. Donlin?
Here.
Mrs. Farley? Here. Mr. Heffernan, Mr. Little? Mrs. Miniwings? Here. Mrs. Wright? Here. Mrs. Tobacco? Here. Mr. Capone? Here. Mr. Chiusano?
Here.
Ms. Howe? Here.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chiusano, how are you? We'll start with you tonight with the high school north update.
Well, High School North student government facilitated student body elections. And October, the junior Brandon Chiusano was elected president, and junior Kaylin Sky Vellante will serve as my vice president. The election conveys our school's commitment to student voice and democratic leadership. We also have the Drum Club hosted its first elementary school talent show, featuring a variety of outstanding performances from across our district's elementary schools. It showcased singers, dancers, comedians, magicians, and was overall a pretty fantastic experience, including the youth of our community to our high school North State. Haunted Woods and Happy Trails, two incredibly popular student-led events at Tyndall Park, raised over $9,000. And these were enjoyable events and successful seasonal experiences. High School North's homecoming dance, which occurred on Saturday, October 29th, was undoubtedly a success. Over 400 students were able to attend this traditional school event. Admissions counselors are continuing to visit our school during the day, and we're discussing the programs at the colleges and universities. 33 sessions were facilitated in the guidance office during October and November. Our Kindness Club, a new student-led organization, has facilitated its introductory meetings, and the group is at work spreading positive energy throughout the school. High School North's Salute to Service initiative is ongoing throughout November. This program recognizes Middletown residents or alumni of our schools who had served in Middletown in the United States Armed Forces. This designation identifies all members of Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Each participating veteran has been highlighted throughout student government's Twitter account, and posters with pictures of each will be displayed in our main entrance hallway. Our annual bonfire was held Tuesday, November 22nd. This was a well-attended experience featuring recognition of fall student athletes. That was a fun event. Musicians, dance team members as well. Particularly all senior members of these programs were honored for their positive contributions over the years, and those who earned postseason honors were announced in the city. High School North's fall pep rally in preparation for Thanksgiving football game was held on Wednesday, November 23rd in our upper gym. This event included tug of war, musical chairs, relay race, limbo, and three-point shootout. Head over to Pride, our new student and staff member of the month program, is set to begin in November. This will celebrate academic achievements, highlight our outstanding work ethic, and emphasize the importance of demonstrating strong moral character. And besides that, relatively well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sigolini, High School South. How are you?
Should I get to the mic or?
If you could speak without it.
Okay,
Or work
should I
on it.
speak about it? Okay. So this year we implemented a new recognition program for our students and staff. Thank you to the PFA for supporting this and helping with incentives. So we have students of the month for October. So for grade 9, we Spencer Casarillo, 10th grade, Marley Hardwick, 11th grade, Nate Bobby, 12th grade, James Sally. And then for student of the month for November, we had 9th grade, Anthony Napolitano, 10th grade, John Pierogi, 11th grade, Morris Tomatis, 12th grade, Nora Collins. And then for citizens of the month for October, we had 9th grade, Ella Kelty, 10th grade, Becky Ascari, 11th grade, Colin Gallagher, 12th grade, Michaela Gaffney. And then for citizens of the month for 10th grade, Jake Ellie, 11th grade, Jake Fielding, and 12th grade, we had Sydney Walker. And then for our October staff member, we had Don Resnick, and for our November staff member, we had Mary Ellen Locke. And then, so our fall sports season has concluded. Girls soccer won the Central Jersey Group 3 championship with a thrilling 3-2 victory over Brick Memorial in overtime. Christopher Shea of the boys cross country team was the Central Jersey 3 individual champion. The football team advanced to the Central Jersey Group 4 final, where they lost a close game to Mainland Regional. The boys soccer, field hockey, girls tennis, girls cross country, and gymnastics, and girls volleyball teams all had successful fall seasons. On November 17th, 8 of our student athletes signed their national letter of intent to continue their athletic and academic careers at Division I and II universities. The winter season began for most sports on November 21st. So come out and support our athletes and teams in wrestling, swimming, indoor track, bowling, girls and boys, basketball, and ice hockey. And then high school staff's new therapy dog, River, came in to help students relax after a long morning of PSATs in October. He will continue coming to visit the students to promote mental health through positive and rewarding interactions every Wednesday. And then South is reading. So we've had 2,210 books have been checked out through the South Library and the Media Center so far this year. And then the Senior Council's Pie Teacher Food Drive brought in over 350 pounds of food that is being donated to the Middletown Helps Its Own. And then South student newspaper, the Eagle Eye, and its writer, Adriana Vargas, won second place for feature writing at the 2022 Garden City Scholastic Press Association Awards. And so Middletown High School staff celebrated our seniors who signed their national letter of intent to play their sport at the collegiate level. So we had Emma Buthorn sign with St. Leo University for lacrosse, William Christopher, Stonehill College for baseball, Abigail Doherty at LaSalle University for soccer, David Hussey for Duke University for wrestling, Benjamin Shield at the University of Connecticut for baseball, Christopher Schick at Rutgers University for cross country and track, Miranda Separando at Caldwell University for softball, and Jack Selesky at Rutgers University for wrestling. And that's all we have.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'd like to turn to our athletic director who is with us tonight, Mr. Rich Carroll. I'd like to present him with a recognition from this board. And I'd like to tell you that as a dad and as a parent, I appreciate everything you do day in and day out for our children, district-wide. And without you being behind the scenes, I don't think we'd be as successful as we are. So thank you very much. The Board of Education and the Middletown School Community congratulate our athletic director, Mr. Rich Carroll, on being named the Directors of Athletic Associations of New Jersey Award of Merit recipient, representing the Central Section. Throughout his career as an athletic director, Mr. Carroll has demonstrated professionalism, strong leadership, and an unwavering commitment to our student athletes. We commend and congratulate him for serving our district with continued dedication and for modeling a sense of pride and honor in our athletic programs and student achievements. Thank you once again, Mr. Carroll, and I have this certificate for you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Double check it out.
The wires, they're not for.
Yeah, we're carefully set. We're testing you. It's like
Trying to save it too.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you again. Now moving on to our presentations, Dr. Kerry.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm here this evening to report out on our spring NJGPA results, which ended up being a field test. We were going into this thinking it was going to be the new graduation test for our 11th grade students last year. We're currently seniors, but the rules surrounding the test changed shortly thereafter and ended up becoming a field test. Nonetheless, we do have to report out on the results and use those results to help us plan for this school year when this 11th grade assessment will actually count for the class of 2024's graduation requirement. Pointer issues. All right. So this is just some legislation about the field test. Basically, up until now, there were a menu of options for students to graduate high school that included passing an Algebra 1 NJSLA, or if that didn't work, passing a Geometry NJSLA, which was a per subject assessment. If those didn't work, we had other options including ACT scores, SAT scores, PSAT scores, ASVAB. If all else failed, a portfolio was the last resort. So the legislation surrounding this just was to revert back to this junior year assessment that we previously had. We used to have a HESPA or HSPT. It was called a bunch of different things over the years, but with the Common Core, we swung to this every single grade level gets a test approach. And now it looks like for high school, we're going back to this 11th grade graduation test for both English and math. As of right now, there's no graduation assessment requirement for the class of 2023. So this assessment was a field test. It doesn't impact students' graduation. There's no portfolios happening this year or anything of that sort. So with these results, we've looked at them with teachers, with our administrative team, and we're using the results to plan for this year and moving forward. We looked at our curriculum, our programming, and potential focus areas for this year to guide our efforts to moving more of our students towards graduation readiness. To give you a brief overview of the test, the NJGPA, the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, is designed to measure how graduation-ready students are in both ELA and mathematics. They're reported separately for each subject. The ELA component is aligned to ELA grade 10. So basically, this is taking place of the former grade 10 PARC or NJSLA assessment for ELA. And for math, it combines Algebra 1 and Geometry 1 assessment that students will take in grade 11. For our district this year, we're happy to report that our district averages for both math and ELA for students who are graduation ready were higher than the state graduation ready averages, which you can see up here. So we're really proud about that. The cutoffs were very interesting for this assessment. They were a little bit on the lower side for English than they were for math. For our own school district, for High School North, we were at 41.3% graduation ready for English, and for High School South, 46.3% for English. And that was above state average for graduation readiness. So I would imagine they would revisit those percentages this year to set a more realistic cutoff. We also include our subgroup analysis. So with this type of reporting, we also look at which groups could use our most support. And across the state, it was the IEP students, economically disadvantaged students that we're going to continue to focus on and work with them to reach higher levels of graduation readiness. For math, High School North was at 44.5% graduation ready. For High School South, we were at 75.1% graduation ready. And similar to ELA, on the next slide, the same subgroups came up again as needing additional support. And again, this was consistent with state level trends as well. So we're continuing to mine this data even further and look at what we can do to support our students. This slide here just shows graduation readiness again as a district. So this information is here if you'd like to take a look at it. We will have this up on our website for Middletown South and Middletown North compared to the district. For our notable achievements, like I mentioned before, our proudest moment, I think, is we surpassed the state's graduation ready percentage in both ELA and math as a district. So we're really happy about that. Obviously, there's always more work that can be done, so we'll continue to do that. And our participation was also very high in this exam. We had a week to give it. We were chosen as a pilot school district, so we had an additional day of testing that other school districts did not have. But our guidance and our principals were really diligent in getting every student to sit and take this test, and even having them take it on makeup days and during advisory if they needed to. As far as intervention goes, we really believe in trying to get better, and we'd like to raise these percentages even higher. So some things we've kind of started already and we'll continue to move forward with. We have data meetings with ELA and math teachers. We met with both high school math departments in early November just to debrief and show them the results and gather their ideas for what we can do moving forward to increase our graduation readiness in math. So that's a work in progress. We will be doing the same with ELA. We've given the information to our building learning design teams where we have a diverse group of stakeholders who will look at the data and brainstorm how we can bring other subjects and other supports into the fold, not just the ELA and math teachers. We've looked at evidence statement reports. These are reports that show how our students do on individual standards compared to how the whole state does on the standards. And we've identified places where we can improve, and that has us go deeper. We look to see, is our curriculum covering these standards appropriately? Is how we're asking the questions in class matching how it's showing up on assessment? So we've taken those deeper dives and already started making adjustments to our curriculum. We are giving a practice NJGPA this December in lieu of an 11th grade Lincoln benchmark. We did do this in bits and pieces last year, but this year, by taking out the Algebra 2 and grade 11 Lincoln benchmark for ELA, we're going to replace it with this practice experience so that students are told early on, hey, look, this will be a graduation requirement, and we'd like to give you this mock test to see how you're doing, and then we can plan for individual remediation after that if needed. We have our staff of interventionists. We're finally replenishing that after some movement internally. So once we have all of those people back in place, which should be happening in the next few weeks, we will have them push in and work with bubble students. These are students that are just on the verge of meeting expectation, but statistics show that about 2/3 of them can be pushed to graduation ready or proficiency with additional intervention. So we definitely want to target those students who could use the extra push. In math specifically, one of the ideas that came out of our meetings with teachers was to implement a problem of the day or problem of the week approach. The reality is the math test is hard. Kids sitting in Algebra 2 or pre-calculus or AP Calc are being given a rigorous assessment on Algebra 1 and geometry. So for our most advanced students, they have to go back to a course they took in 8th grade. For our students who don't like math as much, it's 2 years worth of math on one test. So that could be a very arduous task for students. So we're instituting this problem of the day or week approach where they will get a sample NJGPA problem either from the released item bank or this site, Illustrative Mathematics, which has great mock questions. We're going to start doing those at least once a week through the rest of the year to get the students ready. And I think that's it. So if you have any additional questions, this presentation was posted on our website. Please know we want as many of our students to be as graduation ready as possible, and we will continue to research the test and get our students ready for it so that we can get as many students on the stage their senior year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carrigan. Dr. Young, SLE and mental health programs in Middletown 2023.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to just speak a little bit about our social emotional learning and mental health programs here in Middletown for the 22-23 school year. So I want to just start by talking a little bit about our counseling staff. Currently on staff, Middletown employs around 60 counselors who have mental health backgrounds. They are employed in various different capacities. We have at the elementary level, each elementary school has a dedicated social behavior support specialist. All 5 secondary schools have a student assistance counselor. We also have teams of guidance counselors or school counselors at each of our secondary schools. And then our child study teams employ school psychologists and social workers in all of our buildings. So when we talk about social emotional well-being, we are really talking about 2 different elements, social emotional learning and mental health. These are distinct frameworks of ways of looking at students' functioning. So social emotional learning is really talking about skill instruction. We are looking at a set of core competencies that have been research-based over several decades. New Jersey has their established 5 core competencies, including self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and healthy relationships. And that's really targeting all students trying to develop out their skills and assess through benchmarks and kind of age or grade band categories where the student's skills develop. When we talk about mental health, we're talking about a continuum of functioning. And as you know, someone is experiencing good mental health, they're functioning at a high level to their capacity. And sometimes we see people start to experience some level of struggle, and they sometimes will even receive a clinical diagnosis based on their symptom presentation. So when we talk about comprehensive school mental health, what we really want to just think about is the relationship to services provided in the school versus the services provided in the community. And really, where is the most appropriate setting for different levels of service to occur? So you can see in this diagram, the inverted triangle represents services that would be most appropriate in the community. So I'll talk about the tiered level of services, but as you can see here, Tier 1 are universal services that are applicable to everyone. This is where we're going to talk about in the next slide a little bit of the district social emotional learning programming occurs. Tier 2 is targeted services, and Tier 3 are the most intensive services. So you can see the most intensive services will happen in the community, where the opposite is true for the school system. The majority of services that happen in the school system are at the Tier 1 level. They're for all students. And then there are some targeted supports and then a limited number of intensive supports. So this slide really looks at a snapshot of a large majority of the services that we're currently offering. It's not completely exclusive, but it does include a lot. And it's listed, if you look across the top, it's listed by the lead agency, the first column being the district, and then some of our primary collaborating partners, Effective School Solutions or ESS, the YMCA, and then other agencies that we collaborate with. And then you can see down the rows are listed by the level of support that's provided. So you can see the district at Tier 1 provides social emotional learning curriculum through the Positive Action Program. That was a new initiative for us this year. It's a comprehensive social emotional learning curriculum that we rolled out across all 3 levels this year. So it is a counselor implemented program. So the counselors are pushing into classrooms to deliver these lessons. We also have other Tier 1 level programs such as Lifelines, which is our suicide prevention program, restorative practices, awareness and prevention programs, character education. And the important point is that Tier 1 are programs that are accessible to all students. So all students are in some capacity touched by these programs. Then at the district level, Tier 2, which are more targeted or selected supports, would be things like check-in systems with the counselors, mentoring programs, which we have in some of our schools, more targeted skill or support groups, behavioral supports, group counseling, and then finally, our most intensive programs that the district operates itself are things like a BD classroom or an intensive functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention process. Sean, can you just click on that hyperlink for counselors? I just want to it's in the top first column. We started this year keeping data with our counselors on their activities throughout the day. So both the direct service and the indirect service that they are able to provide to students. Direct service being services that the counselors are doing directly with the student. So usually that's in a one-on-one capacity or a group capacity. Indirect service are all the other activities our counselors engage in that help support students. So you can see this is aggregate data by level, elementary, middle school, and high school. And what we're really looking at are what are the ways the counselors are spending the majority of their time throughout the month, and are there maybe ways to identify gaps in services that currently exist, and then we would be able to plan for how to fill those gaps. So Shannon, if you could just scroll down, you can see at the elementary level, which is the first pie chart, the counselors are really spending their time really spread out. And this is really appropriate at the elementary level because although the counselors do work one-on-one with the students, it's also really important for especially younger students for the counselors to be working with the other adults who support the students, whether it be teachers, related service providers, and of course, parents and caregivers. And then Shannon, as you scroll, you can see as you move up in levels, that dark blue section, the individual one-on-one direct service contact with counselors gets bigger each level that we move up, which again is really developmentally appropriate because as students are becoming more independent, they are wanting to take charge and initiative of their own well-being, their own mental health, and they are spending more time meeting one-on-one with their counselors. Okay, we can go back to the main presentation. Okay. All right, so in the second column over effective school solutions, so the tier 1 level services that they provide for us are a parenting series. We've had one parent workshop already this year. We will have a second one coming up this Thursday evening on helping students manage excessive stress and worry. They will also be partnering with us to roll out a universal mental health screener, which we have pushed back to later this spring to start to pilot that. They also provide us with a tremendous amount of professional development for our staff. Another service they provide for us is the Tier 2 level counseling. So can you just click on this hyperlink? So Tier 2 level counseling is in-school, school-based counseling for students who have mild to moderate symptom presentation. It's a solution-focused brief therapy model. And the way this works are students who a parent has a concern, a counselor has a concern, or the student has a concern themselves. There is a referral process that goes through the student's guidance counselor or case manager. Once they fill out that referral form, the referral is screened through a district level process and then an ESS level process. The student is set up for assessment, and if the student is appropriate for that level of counseling, they're brought in for counseling services in school during the school day. Like I said, usually at the Tier 2 model, it's a brief model, so it lasts about 6 to 8 weeks. And then the ESS clinician will work with the family to help transition the student to additional supports if needed. So Shannon, if you can just scroll up a little bit, you can see here the majority of the referrals this year so far have happened at the high school level. Roughly almost half of all of our referrals have been high school level students. If you just scroll up so we can see the bottom chart, and you can kind of just see the disposition of how the referrals play out across the levels. Most of the students that are referred are accepted and enrolled into services. A fraction of the students who are referred are assessed and then referred for what we call a higher level of care. So this would be that kind of Tier 3 level care in the community, so outpatient care in the community. And then there are some students who are declined for services. The largest percentage of those students who are declined for services are the parent determines that they don't want their child to partake in the services. We can go back. So ESS also provides additional Tier 3 level services for the district. We have the Bridges Self-Contained Program at High School North. We have an autism spectrum disorder dual diagnosis program that's also housed at High School North. And they provide a wraparound support program, which is called Tier 3 at both high schools and at Thorne Middle School. And that program, our students are in their regular program, academic program, whatever that program may be, and they just receive a much higher level of clinical care throughout the week. We also partner with the YMCA. That's been a longstanding partnership with the district. They provide before and after care for us. They have a family success center located right here in Leonardo that provides an abundance of services to families. They also provide the district with some professional development opportunities for our staff. They also provide school-linked therapy care. So this is a little bit different than ESS, which it also takes place in the school. The YMCA is funded, the clinical care is funded through families' insurance. So students are referred through their counselor, the same process, although you can make a direct referral as a parent to the YMCA. And as long as you have an insurance that they work with, students are able to do their therapy during the school day in our school buildings. They also have the option to do outpatient in an outpatient setting in Matawan. And if a student is in need of psychiatric support, the YMCA can facilitate that through a provider that they work with. And that can exist at the tier 2 or the tier 3 level, because that is really private, a community-based therapy that is just happening in our school buildings. And then other agencies that we work with are the Municipal Alliance, the Mental Health Association, which is an organization that we've been working very, very closely with this year. Sandy Hook Promise, we do programming in all of our elementary and middle school programs related to their Say Hello and Say Something programs. Family-Based Services, which is a family-based organization out of Eatontown that can help support families through a variety of issues. We also work with many private providers. Our counselors all have pretty lengthy lists of private providers in the community. Whenever we know of a student seeing a private provider, we try and obtain consent so that we can coordinate with those private providers. The Family Crisis Intervention Unit, or FCIU, is an arm of the Mental Health Association. They are able to help families who have children 10 years old or older, and they can provide a range of services and support to families, including home-based therapy. Perform Care does something similar. They are the state agency that can come in and help provide through brokered services, mostly Monmouth Cares, which is the care management organization for Monmouth County. They can provide a variety of services to families, including home-based therapy, family support, behavioral therapy, mentors in the community, and an array of other services. And then we have some other providers that can be a little bit more of intensive service providers. So those are IOPs, intensive outpatient, or PHPs, partial hospitalization programs, or partial care. So there's a list of providers that we try and maintain contact and collaboration with if we have students who have those needs. Mobile Response is another local resource. It's run through CPC right here in Red Bank. However, you have to go through Perform Care to access those services, but those services are for families who are having a more intense or imminent crisis and need support in their home. And that is available 24/7, 365. So our counselors all work with Mobile Response as well. In addition to those services, our counselors also engage in a really critical component of their daily, weekly, monthly activities are threat assessments. So these are assessments that all of our counselors are trained to do if a student presents any type of threat or risk to themselves, to someone else, or to the building at large. So Shannon, if you could just click on that bottom link, the threat assessment link. So the district has a pretty comprehensive procedure for how these situations are handled. And you can see just for September and October, there were, I think, about 108 assessments for those 2 months. They mostly are students who are expressing some sort of suicidal ideation, although other types of ideation occur as well, and sometimes things happen in conjunction with each other. If you can just scroll down, and you can see by the outcomes, we have different, in our procedures, we have different outcomes that students can encounter. So sometimes students say something or write something or post something, and it's determined to be no risk, no referral. So it's determined that that wasn't a valid threat. Sometimes the students are determined after assessment to be at elevated risks, so they're not in any imminent danger of harming themselves or anyone else, but we would require them to have a higher level of assessment before we determine that they're safe to return to school. We contract with Effective School Solutions to do those assessments now. They do them within 24 hours usually, and they're done right at school. So the student doesn't have to go to any other location. However, they do often have to leave school for the remainder of the day until the next morning when ESS can conduct the assessment. And then the most imminent risk are students who it's determined to be at imminent risk of some type of harm to themselves or others. And those students, we have a process whereby they are sent directly to the local hospital of the parent's choice. And then our final activity that our counselors engage in is our traumatic event response team. So we have a district-based team of about 35 counselors who volunteer their time and expertise in the event that the district experiences a traumatic event of any kind. These counselors are willing to mobilize and respond in any way needed and work in conjunction with the Traumatic Loss Coalition to help support students, staff, and families in the aftermath of a traumatic event. So the ways that families and students can access these services is the primary way is through a school counselor. So depending on what level you're at, if you're at the elementary level, the primary way would be through the SBSS or a case manager. They are all trained in how to work with students, assess students, and determine what level of care and what services and resources would be the most appropriate. At the secondary levels, the middle schools and high schools, guidance counselors, case managers, or the student assistance counselors are all well-versed in these pathways to access as well. And then this is just a list of some of our main community collaborations and connections. Like I talked about, Effective School Solutions, the Community YMCA, and the Mental Health Association are major collaborators with us. We work with them very, very closely on a lot of our programming and professional development initiatives. Hackensack Meridian Hospital and Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas are the hospitals that operate the local emergency rooms. We have direct contacts with the clinicians in those emergency room settings for when we do have students who are in those situations where they need to be sent to the hospital so that we can make those transitions as seamless as possible for our families. The Traumatic Loss Coalition is another organization that we work very closely with in response to any traumatic event. A kayak is a coordinating council of all of these agencies that meets quarterly throughout the year to discuss county level issues, trends that they're seeing, and resources. The Municipal Alliance, CPC Behavioral Health, those are also local community-based organizations that we work with and partner with when opportunities present themselves, as well as private providers and our consulting psychiatrist. And then we certainly recognize the important role that parents play in the process of supporting children's social emotional well-being. And there are several ways that we are trying to keep parents informed and involved in all of the things that the district is doing. We have a targeted section on our website with lists of resources that are accessible at all times. There are resources that go out in the weekly newsletter in a dedicated section. Like I mentioned, we already had one of our parent nights in November. We will have a second one this Thursday. And then there will be at least three additional parent nights from Effective School Solutions in the spring, as well as we just started a student athlete program focused on the particular mental health concerns of student athletes. We had our first presentation to the coaches a few weeks ago. That went really well. Presentations to winter student athletes at both high schools will happen next week. And then in January, we will our presenter will be presenting to parents of student athletes. And then also we will be rolling out, we've talked a little bit about it, the Stop It, Help Me platform, which is an anonymous reporting system for anyone in the community who, once we launch, has the app. They can report anonymously any concerns they have about any student to school staff. Within the platform, there's also two other really critical elements. One is a direct connection to a crisis text line. So this potentially will be a really valuable resource for anyone who's struggling but maybe doesn't want to reach out to the school directly. They will have direct access through the app. And also a Help Me tab where families can access an array of resources that are provided both by the district and in the local community. Again, without having to go through any school staff member to access that information. It will just be directly available to families. Then this slide just outlines a little bit about where we've been, some of the things that we've been doing already this fall. A lot of it I've spoken about already. There are some other things on here that we are exploring, potential collaborations with the New Jersey Pediatric Psychiatric Collaborative, which would potentially be an opportunity for us to help connect families with psychiatric support if they needed that for their children. That is something we've been exploring with the school nurses. We also are planning a mental health night for later this spring where we will have a presentation and also bring in some of the vendors and organizations that I've already talked about, plus some additional ones, so parents will have the ability to interact with these organizations and hear more from them directly. Talked about our student athlete program, which we'll be running, and then we're constantly in a continuous review of all of our programming and looking at where gaps exist and what we can do to kind of start to fill those gaps. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What are you doing with the coaches? Exactly.
So there was a presentation for the coaches about 2 weeks ago. Dr. Mitch Abrams, he is a psychologist who specializes in addressing specific concerns with mental health concerns that impact student athletes and particular ways that coaches can look at mental health concerns, student athletes can look at their own mental health, and then ways that parents can help support student athletes in their mental health.
More of the coaches there?
So the presentation 2 weeks ago was for winter coaches. So there'll be a presentation later in the year for spring coaches before the spring season starts. And then just based on the way the timing of everything worked out, the fall coaches will be at the end of the year. The athletes will follow the same schedule as the coaches, just usually probably a week or two behind them. And then there'll be one presentation in January for parents of all student athletes.
Is it a requirement for them to go, the coaches and the athletes? Or is this required?
So it was part of the coaches meeting for winter sports. And I'm assuming that it's going to follow the same thing for spring and fall sports. And then for students, the information is going out to all of their parents because that presentation will be done during the school day. And if parents wanted to have their child not participate, they just wouldn't go down to the presentation when the student athletes are called down.
Good. Thank you, Dr. Young.
Thank you.
I don't know if I could answer this or not, if you could answer this now, and not you, Dr. Young. Do we have many parents that are not wanting the students to go down?
Not for this particular season. We still have 2 more seasons to go. All of the coaches are receiving the training.
Right.
And it's expected of the students, but we can't insist that the parents send their students.
Could we get an update if parents are, like, just to get an idea of
Sure.
the percentage?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I heard good feedback. The way it's
I hope they take part of it.
Yeah.
This is important,
It is
especially for the coaches, for the athletes. This is really important.
Yes.
A lot of times we do these presentations and we don't get a lot of people to come, which is kind of sad because, everybody should at least come and check
The
it
one
out.
we had a few weeks ago, we got a good turnout, comparatively. I would say there was over 100 parents.
Because we need, this is a community thing. This is a community thing that we have to work all together.
I agree with you, 100%. This is something that.
Yes.
Any other Moving on to our committee reports. We're going to start with Mrs. Tobacco, negotiations.
Thank you. I would like to update the public and the board regarding the pending MTEA contract. Unfortunately, the board was not given the opportunity to review or collaborate on the salary guides that were ratified by the association. Upon review of what was distributed, there were some inaccuracies and discrepancies. We were also made aware of a statement that was made concerning the association making a proposal for coaching stipends and that the board denied that request. Coaching stipends were in fact never brought to the board by the association, and the board was not given the opportunity to address this in the salary guides. The board is currently reviewing the salary guides and will contact the association to meet and both parties, hopefully give both parties a chance to reconcile these issues. Sorry, I'm congested today.
Thank you. Anybody have
Thank
anything to comment? Curriculum and instruction, Mrs. Farley and Mrs. Appel.
Yes, we met last week, I guess, and I will turn it over to Mrs.
Yes, I was there as
Alphonse.
well.
She's gonna do, that's right, sure. Curriculum and also student services, I think.
Yes. So on the curriculum agenda, we discussed the high school staff schedule survey results. Based on those results, we will be moving forward with a student survey that will tentatively schedule to roll out in January. We are in the process of crafting that student schedule survey to be distributed. We provided an update on the STAR 360 and DIBELS 8 pilot. Both of those are diagnostic universal screeners for literacy and math to get some further dialed-in information to drive our intervention efforts that Dr. Kerrigan spoke about. So those pilots are both going extremely well. And in our pilot buildings, our teachers will be using that information at parent-teacher conferences at the elementary and middle school levels next week. We discussed our dual enrollment contract with Brookdale. We were currently in a 2-year contract cycle for some dual enrollment courses. We are looking at trying to amend that contract for next year. It does tie our hands a little bit based on the requirements that Brookdale has for what certifications some of our courses our teaching staff members need to have. We did find that there are other universities that we could potentially partner with that would give us some more flexibility in staffing, particularly in our business department. We are also reviewing a shared services agreement with Keensburg. There has been one standing since approximately 2017. We are looking to refresh that agreement potentially, but it has reciprocity and enrollment for AP courses, our Arts Academy, and then we have access to their behavioral disabilities program, K-12 if needed, and also their police academy, their law enforcement academy. So there has been, a similar number of students that are sending and receiving between the two districts, and that reciprocity has generated kind of a zero cost for either district while providing a benefit. So we're going to be collaborating with Keensburg to refresh that for review in the new year. Our job-embedded professional development initiatives are going well. Our Jen Saravallo small group instruction, actually Jen Saravallo visited our district about a month ago, so that was kind of like rock star level for teachers. So, imagine a famous person coming to your school, and that individual came to Leonardo, so it was a big day there. We also discussed the fact that we as a district have received our ESSA accountability reports. They are embargoed currently. The administrative team is in the process of reviewing them with building level staff and administrators. And once that information, the embargo is lifted by the Department of Education, we will be sharing those results publicly with the community. We are exploring a couple of new course proposals in our business department, a virtual entrepreneurship course, which is a completely new course, and a business communications class that would replace Digital Literacy 1, as that is a little bit outdated based on the communication requirements in today's business world. On the agenda tonight is the ESL curriculum for 6 through 12 for approval. A month or so ago, we approved our K-5 curriculum. This is the secondary curriculum that's on the agenda this evening. Our website update for progress with that, our tentative rollout of our new revamped, refreshed website is still scheduled for January 2023. We are on pace with that. Even though you're seeing nothing happening on the platform, everything is happening behind the scenes. The build is happening kind of on a secondary site that when we are happy with that finalized product, we'll just kind of flip a switch and it'll toggle us over to the new site. Our goal is to have all 16 sites, including the 17th site, which would be our district site, look similar in its navigation and also be very streamlined, simple with
a 1 or 2 click philosophy behind it. So Mr. Kirkpatrick and I are working with Mr. Rotolo and Mr. Suiak on that initiative, and we're on pace for that scheduled launch in January. We have on the agenda tonight a staff research proposal at Thorne Middle School investigating the differences between boys and girls in their desire to pursue STEM education, at the secondary and post-secondary level. The proposal request is on the agenda, as well as permission forms and a copy of the student survey, which was disseminated to parents in conjunction with information about the proposed study. All study is voluntary, participation is voluntary, and all results are anonymous. I'll just shift quickly to special and student services agenda. As Dr. Young spoke about tonight, we do have ESS wraparound services at a few of our buildings. We are going to be adding it to a third building, Ocean Avenue Elementary School. So they will be receiving that Tier 3 wraparound service support, tentatively scheduled for a start in January. They are in the process of staffing that counseling position for that to take place. On the agenda tonight is also a special education teacher for Ocean Avenue School. We will be piloting a behavioral support program, two-pronged in that it includes this special education teacher on the agenda tonight who has a behavioral disabilities background. The other prong being that ESS wraparound service for some of our students who are needing that additional behavioral support. And we also want to continue their learning regardless of the challenges they may experience from a behavioral standpoint. Our staffing update in special ed. At our last meeting, we discussed still looking for some OT and speech therapists to fill some of the voids that we had in staffing across the district. It seems that we are currently having an OT start December 5th at South. These are contracted positions. There are 2 additional OT positions that are pending in the works currently. Our speech staff is currently up to full staffing, and we are in the process of making up those speech sessions that may have been missed because of the hiring that needed to take place. We have a couple of leaves in our CST that we're in the process of also filling. We are happy to report that our Fostering Friendships group has been reinvigorated and put back into place at High School South. That will take place during blocks 3 and 4 and is being spearheaded by our transition specialists, Mrs. Grothus and Mr. Dorgan. They've had a really great response from the students and the staff. So we're really looking for that to become come back to South as a prevalent part of the embedded school day experience for our students. Currently, I'm also happy to report that as of tonight, we will be fully staffed with our proposed BCBA and RBT staff. We have 2 BCBAs, 1 BCABA, is that right, Michelle? BC little a, BA, and 12 RBTs. So I know that we're really excited that brings us to full staffing. During the first week of December, we'll be having training for our BCBAs on how to manage those RBTs. And then we'll be having training for our RBTs. And then we'll also be having training for our case managers on the differences between RBTs and paraprofessionals. So you can keep track of all those acronyms. Our transition program is going really well with our transition specialist, as I had mentioned. She held a parent information session a couple of weeks ago for parents of students in that transition program to offer them access and information related to community supports. It was very well attended. She had 17 parents there, and she'll be doing that most likely on a monthly basis. We'll also finally be running a pilot with a digital platform called Silas. It is a social emotional learning platform, but our interest lies in its life skills content, where there is a component of using digital avatars to create social stories. and having students in our transition classes practice some of these life skills before going out into the community, but they're doing it in a very gamified fashion where they are able to create and manipulate avatars to do so. We have the CEO of the company coming in to do a little mini pilot with Mr. Dorgan and I in the next coming weeks. So that's it.
That was excellent. Thank you, Mrs.
You're
Alvarado.
welcome.
Mrs. Teeling, Student Services, I know Mr. Little couldn't make it tonight.
No, we just, I did it.
Okay, sorry.
I did it all, one shot.
I know Ms. Teeling will have anything else to say. Moving on to Facility and Finance, Mrs. Garden.
So our committee met on the 21st. We discussed a couple of items that were going to be on the agenda tonight and in upcoming months. One thing is the health and safety coordinator job description. That's in our personnel section of the agenda. We'll be approving that tonight to incorporate duties that are being performed into a separate job description from the ones that we already have. We also discussed facilities planning. We talked about issuing an RFP or an RFQ for architectural services in anticipation of beginning a master planning process for the district's facilities. It's not a reflection on the architectural services that we're receiving, but we haven't gone out in almost 5 years, and before we embark on a large project like master planning, we feel that we need to go through this competitive process to make sure that we're getting the best services. So we will be planning on issuing that sometime in December and getting the responses back and evaluating them at our upcoming facilities and finance meeting. We also did talk about the need for getting a proposal for facilities master planning, which we will be looking at, after we go through this RFQ process for the architectural services. We also reported out to the committee that we will be receiving bids for the district's ARP-ESSER HVAC projects. Those are the grant-funded projects. Those bids will be open on December 8th. So we are planning a bid award for the 12-13 board meeting. And we also updated the committee on some smaller things that are going on in the district within the budget for this year. And we also talked about, we received our NJSDA 22-23 allocation. We received similar funds last year. It was the emergent maintenance and capital needs funding that was allocated by the state. Last year, we received $230,511. This year, our allocation is $220,940. So when the application for that comes out, we basically just have to submit what we're planning on using the funds for. It's a pretty simple application, and the state reviews it, and if approved, they will forward you the money to cover those projects. So that was good news. We also have on the agenda the approval of the recommendation from the evaluation committee on our student information software RFP. That is on the agenda this evening. The evaluation report is on the district website. The committee is recommending Genesis, a conversion to Genesis for our student information software, not only for functionality, but also for cost over the course of the next few years. We also talked about the ROD grant opportunities that are going to be opening up in January. We discussed some of the projects that we're looking at for submission for these grants, specifically fire alarm systems and generators. If we don't receive funding for the generators through the stabilization aid we submitted for, we could submit them for ROD grants. We're looking at other things too. We did talk about the fact that we've exhausted our capital reserve at this point. We don't have a lot of funds, so we did discuss other options to provide. We have to fund 60%, and the ROD grants will fund 40% of these projects. We talked about options such as lease purchase and other ways to finance so we can take advantage of these funds that the state is offering. So we'll continue to develop those projects for submission, and when the portal opens in January, we'll put in submissions for grants. We also talked about going forward with, we actually received a settlement back from the diploma JIF for our mobile related claims, so we were able to close that out as well. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Moving on, policy did not meet this month. Co-curricular technology did not meet. Shared services is scheduled, I believe, for next week.
We have a shared service?
I think it's next week, but one week coming up soon.
I mean, the township hasn't confirmed any date. They had talked about doing it on an as-needed basis, but I can check on that.
Legislative did not meet. We'll now open up for public comment on agenda items only. To make public comment, please must state your name and address for the record.
Doesn't work?
Here for safety, Eshar Drive. The high school schedule survey that you're talking about to students, was a bit of an uproar when it went out it became kind of public knowledge because I think parents and students are very happy with the block schedule compared to what was happening before. So I don't know if there's a consideration to survey parents as well, or maybe discuss publicly why this is happening, because there seem to be a lot of positives with what we moved to versus negatives. So I think that would kind of calm the worries.
We're only in phase one.
Yeah.
And it's just gathering information right now.
Right, okay. And the other thing, that new job descriptions or the job descriptions, can anybody identify how many of these are brand new positions? Obviously, a bus driver would be a new position, but the public can't tell by looking at this what are new hires versus, just changing the roles of existing staff. And the district level SBSS, maybe it's throwing me because it says it reports to the assistant superintendent. But I was a little thrown at that because it talked about identifying special education needs, and we have an INRS system already in place. So I didn't know if that person was going to be at a school level, but it was reporting at a district, so I was just a little thrown on that one.
Well, the SBSS is part of the INRS process. So they are part of that INRS team.
But I thought it showed
mental
that
health
it was
capacity.
reporting through Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Well, they do. Well, they're housed
They
under
are.
the mental health umbrella, mental health side of
Okay.
it, but they are part of our multi-tiered system of supports, which
Right.
is, and INRS is the vehicle for accessing those tiered system of supports, so that SBSS is involved in that process.
Okay, so this is not somebody sitting up at a level. that's-
No,
okay.
no.
I got it. I just wanted to make sure when I read it, I got it.
Same position.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pasecki. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from executive session 10/19/2022 and workshop voting meeting 10/19/2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, just a couple of things I wanted to bring up tonight. Number one, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed their lovely couple of days off. I know I definitely did. I'd like to say congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year recipients. Well done, well deserved, and congratulations. We just recently concluded the board, several board members along with myself. We toured all the facilities throughout the entire district since September. And just really understanding really what is possibly needed, what could be needed, and how we're going to go forward now with our aging facilities. And another congratulations to Lincroft Elementary's first ever student council inauguration. I was there with Mr. Kirkpatrick, and it was something really special. To get 450 plus children in the APR room is amazing how loud they can be. So it was very nice to see. All right, moving on to Mrs. Doherty on your board secretary's monthly certification.
Right, I'm just reporting that we're certifying that as of October 31st, no line item account has been overspent. and no violations of New Jersey Administrative Code.
That's good to hear. Motion to approve C1 through 3.
Second.
All discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Now hand it off to Mrs. Walker on the superintendent's update.
Good evening, everybody. Earlier this evening, we honored our outstanding High School North and High School South students at a recognition ceremony for academic achievement. We had 7 students that were commended for qualifying for the National Merit Scholarship Program. 121 students were recognized for qualifying as AP scholars, and 98 students earned a perfect score on one or more exams, AP exams. We are so proud of the achievements of these students. I can't imagine how hard they work to make those achievements. We have some upcoming events. We have our High School South 8th grade open house on Thursday, December 1st at 6 p.m. 8th graders and their parents will discover the many diverse courses of study and other learning opportunities for students, including information about our pathways and our academies. They'll also learn about opportunities to participate in co-curricular organizations and athletics. As Dr. Young said, we are going to be presenting supporting students with stress and excessive worry. That will be done by our Effective School Solutions staff on December 1st at 6:30 at High School North. This is the second in our parent learning series on the topic of mental health. Earlier this month, the Mental Health Association presented a suicide prevention workshop that was well attended by our community. There will be 4 additional presentations related to student mental health this year coming. We also have a career development meet and greet for high school juniors and seniors scheduled for Tuesday, December 6th at the Middletown Arts Center. Many local businesses have committed to participating, including communication and tech, hospitality, nursing, financial firms, facilities companies, and other professionals representing law, real estate, and land surveying. All junior and senior students are encouraged to attend. It's the first time we're having this, so we're really excited about this. Dr. Cartier put it together in collaboration with the Community Affairs Council of Middletown. Once again, Thorne Middle School has chosen to be a stop for Wreaths Across America. This is an annual event that starts in Maine, and a caravan of 18-wheelers brings wreaths from Maine to Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia to lay on the graves of soldiers buried there. The convoy is scheduled to reach Thorne on Wednesday, December 14th. A remembrance ceremony with World War II veterans in attendance will be held at Thorne, facilitated by students, and that will be done before the convoy moves on down to Virginia. This month, High School North and High School South both presented their fall plays. I really can't say enough about the performances. North presented The Crucible, and South presented One Foggy Christmas Eve, which was written by the drama teacher, Alexis Cozy. Both plays were great. They were so entertaining. They were totally different type of plays, but the kids' talent and their hard work and the hard work of their staff, the teaching staff, all was evident. It was wonderful. In the month of December, we have a lot of school events and concerts and other holiday performances at all the levels, elementary, middle, and high. So be on the lookout for information from your child's school for these events. They're always great to attend. We had great weather for our annual Thanksgiving Day football game. It was a really nice day. Approximately 3,000 community members came out to cheer on our teams. Our student athletes, they gave it their all. High School South was the first to score, but ultimately South prevailed. Congratulations to all our fall athletes who have finished up their season, and good luck to our winter athletes. Also, just a reminder that next Monday, all elementary conferences will begin, and elementary schools will be following the early dismissal schedule all week. As Mr. Capone mentioned, our school communities have recently selected the Educators of the Year for each school. These teachers were nominated by their school community, which is a testament to their positive impact that they had on their students and their colleagues. We're grateful for their passion, commitment, and leadership, and we look forward to celebrating their achievements with our community at a future board meeting. And finally, I'd like to congratulate and welcome our newly elected board members who will join the board in January, Mr. Gary Tull and Joseph Fitzgerald. Also, congratulations to Mrs. Caminiti, who will be able to continue her work as a board member. I want to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Donlin and Mr. Little for the many years of service they've given our community. I can attest to the fact that their work on the board has made this school district better. Thank you for putting in countless hours on committees, at events, and at board meetings. You've done the very hard work of promoting school improvement, and your legacy is evident in the success of our students and our graduates. So thank you very much.
Going real back to the plays that were at North and South, when we have a 5 and a 7-year-old and you tell them which play do you want to go see, and one of them has a word Christmas in it,
Yeah.
it's all over. So I did make the Christmas play and I think it was wonderful, so. Okay, I need a motion to approve items D, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 with tabling D2, 2, 3, 5, 7, 4, and tabling number 4.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed on number 2.
Abstentions. Need a motion to approve B1 through 6.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion, I'm sorry. Opposed? Abstentions. Motion to approve D1 through G1.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Moving to the personnel report. Motion to approve 1 through 19.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I would just like to say, it's gonna be a big loss to lose Lisa Weinstock at High School South. She's done a tremendous job. I had the opportunity of working with her many, many years ago when she was here at North. And I think she's just done so much for the students in Middletown that it's gonna be a great loss. I just like to wish her luck where she's going.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed on number 6, the second transfer.
Abstentions? Old business. Anybody have any?
I did.
Okay. Hit it.
I'm not going to repeat some of the things I know Mrs. Walker said, but I did have the opportunity to attend the South signing. It was incredible. It's just so nice to see all those kids up there and all their camaraderie in the auditorium, cheering them on as they sign on, and all the nice things that their coaches and mentors say about them. It really makes it special, so that was a really exciting thing. Some of us had the opportunity to attend the Ocean Avenue gift auction. We had a great time. It was very, well attended and very well put together. I also had the opportunity to attend Granny's Attic. It was a beautiful, well, it was a beautiful day. It was a little windy, but it was very well attended and crowded, and I'm sure they did well. And let's see, the plays. I went to see both plays. Extremely incredible. I always tell people that if you want to see a play, don't go to New York, just come to the high schools because they're more entertaining. But I also got to volunteer for the senior luncheon that they do here at North before the play. They have a presentation on a Thursday, they have lunch that's provided by the MTEA. And then the seniors get to go in and see the play, and that was very well attended. They were very excited to be back in the building because they haven't been here since COVID hit. So we had a lot of the same, but we had a lot of new people that came in. It really does show off the student talent to our senior citizen community. So that was really well attended. And the Thanksgiving Day game couldn't have got a better day. So it's a very beautiful day, very well attended. It goes to show that a true tradition in Middletown that should never be lost because everybody comes out for it. So
Bittersweet day
really good month.
for, bittersweet day for a dad whose son's a senior.
That's right, and it really was nice to see all the seniors walk across Jackie's friends.
Don't make me
So many
cry again,
others
Joan.
with their parents and their families and congratulating them and thanking them for all they've done for our school district. It's really a nice
It
event.
makes you really appreciate our
It
town
does.
and our community.
It does, you sit there and you look at some of them and you say, oh my God, how are they seniors already? You know, it's like, seems like you just saw them in elementary school, but, it was a great month, a lot of activities, and December's got a lot coming, so I'm looking forward to that.
If you weren't ready for the holidays, you're here.
Well,
New business. We will now open the microphone for public comment. Anybody wish to make a comment, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one stepping forward, I'm going to close the public comment and make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Have a good night, everyone.